All right, welcome back. So I am starting off in the new Zap location. So what we want to do this time, and feel free to follow along if you'd like, but what I want to do is I want to start utilizing some more complex actions. So for example, I want to have a trigger that, let's say, I'm not sure if this is the best scenario, but we could do something. Actually, let's do Google Forms. And what I want to happen is, ideally what will happen is once a Google form is submitted, I'm going to have a path. I'm going to have a path set up. So if I head over to flow controls, I'm going to click on paths. And what will happen here is based on the submission of the Google form, I will have two different conditions. So if maybe they selected the value A, then go down this path. If they selected the value B, go down this path. And I don't have anything set up yet. I'm just speaking in hypothetical terms. But if someone submits a form, they submit certain value, then it goes down one path. If they select a different value, it goes down another path. And for example, maybe in path A, where they select a certain condition, there's another action that says, okay, they have selected this condition. Let's go ahead and email or post this specific form detail into this specific Slack channel or email this specific user. Whereas if they selected this other option, go ahead and do the following. Now, I don't mean to make this too complex, means this is our first time working with a path, but you can also add paths by clicking on these plus icons. So now I have three different paths I could take, or if I wanted to, I could even add a path within a path. So if I click on path and add path, I'm going to say, do not let me know again. I'm going to click add path. And now we can see that we have three paths, and then one of the paths has multiple paths. At some point, I'm not even going to be able to say this word anymore, but we have a lot going on, and we don't really need all this, not right now. Again, maybe there's a use case you have where you'd like to try this out, but we really don't need to do that much. So, maybe we'll do three paths. So we have path A, path C. That's actually kind of funny. I need to rename that path B just so we don't get confused. Okay, so if you're with me right now, we have one Google form that we haven't set up, and then we have three different paths that we have not configured. So the first thing we need to do is head over to Google Forms and make ourselves a form. All right, so once you're headed over to Google Forms, if you want to follow along, let's go ahead and, I don't know, let's just create an RSVP Google form just so we have something that's already pre-built. And of course, we can modify this slightly. All right, so I'm just going to leave all this as default. And let's see, what could be, you know what, I'm not going to leave this default. Let me say the question will be, which Cloud Trader Academy courses are you interested in? And then an option could be like the trading courses, or like, let me specify stock trading courses. Another could be Power Platform courses, or maybe AI courses. So maybe this course, for example. So we have three different examples here, and you can see where I'm going with this. Once they select one of these, it will trigger one of these paths to be taken. Or I guess not right when they select it, but when they submit the form and they have one of these selected, depending what they have selected, it will trigger a different path to be taken. So let's head back to our form. And we don't really need anything else. I could say, what is your email? And that's about it. So I'm going to make this required, and I'm going to change it to a short answer. And I think with Google Forms, there's a way to force it to be an email. I really don't remember. It's been so long since I've used Google Forms. I thought there was a way to specify, but I guess that doesn't matter. Okay, so let's delete this, and we'll delete that. So we don't need anything else. Let's click on publish. Click on publish. There we go. And now if I want to preview it, we can make sure everything works as intended. So I can say I'm interested in Power Platform courses. My email is test@test.com. And if I click submit, oh, well, I guess we can't submit in preview mode. But if I submitted whatever path I have related to this course selection, so maybe path B, just because it's in the middle, would be taken. So let me close out of that, and let's head back to our Zapier. And now that we've published the form, let's see if I can link to it. So I'm going to say new form response. I'm going to have to link my Google Forms account. So I'm going to do that real quick. All right, so I have linked my Google Forms account. I have made the Google form. Now we are going to grab from this specific form, the RSVP form that we just made. Let's do a test to make sure that it can pull from it. I don't know how it has a response. I've never responded yet. Oh, this must just be a random default. I don't know what that's, I don't know. I guess that's just a default form response, just to have something. Okay, whatever. Continue. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. That should just be a default. Okay, so we are on path A. So we have a few different options with this. We could have custom rules to determine when this path runs, or we could have it always run. So if we wanted this path to run no matter what, we could specify always run, or we could specify this to be a fallback. So for example, if path B and path C both have criteria that are not met, then the fallback path is taken. So again, if you've taken my Power Automate course, you are most likely already familiar with how this type of data works or how this type of logic works. But if not, it's perfectly fine. You don't need to have the Power Automate background. It just helps to make this a little more clear. So let's head back to custom rules because we don't really need a fallback because there's only 3 possible options. And I didn't allow them to add a custom answer. So there is no reason to have a fallback. At least in this case, in a real world environment, I would definitely recommend a fallback just because you never know. Something could go wrong or maybe one of the selections just can't be chosen. In most cases, you might not need to worry about it. At least at the minimum, you could have a fallback be, I don't know, some type of email that said, something's wrong, come check it out. You know, reach out to your development team, something like that. Okay, anyways, back on track. Let's actually move path A over here just to keep things organized. So I'm on path A. We have a custom rule, and I'm only going to continue if the field, this one, which Cloud Trader Academy courses do you like, or whatever the question was. And I'm going to say if the condition is, and I want to select, you know, I wish you could, and I thought you could. Okay, so it doesn't look like there is a way to view my preset values. So for example, to see what choices are selected, I guess that makes sense. Being used to Power Automate where you can just directly link your automation to your SharePoint if your data is stored there, and it would just read from that. But that is off topic of this course. So we could say if the text exactly matches, and then we could just come over here and just copy. So if the selection matches that, then we would go ahead and follow along this path. I just want to make sure that there's not a better way to do this. So I believe we could do text contains, but I would like exactly match just to avoid, you know, someone else selecting something that has text, some text that contains, and it, you know, goes down the wrong path. So I want to focus on text that exactly matches. So let me head over here and do the same thing. I'm going to say where this value has text that exactly matches, and I'm going to do Power Platform courses, and I'm just going to go back and forth, do the same thing for this one. Let me copy AI courses, head back to my Zap, and I'm going to say only continue if the course selected, the text exactly matches the text listed here. So again, I'm not sure how this will react. It means these are choice columns. I'm not sure if it'll break or if it'll read it as this text. So we'll see. We'll see if it's able to correctly identify whatever I'm sending. So hopefully it's able to read the exact choice I'm selecting. So just to test this and make it as easy as possible, I'm going to say, let's head over to Slack, and we're just going to send a channel message. I'm going to do the same thing for all of them. I'm going to send it to this channel social, and the message text will be, yes, we'll add it automatically. And we'll say that this, or we'll say, I mean, we could just hard code this and we could say a new, I mean, I guess this isn't the greatest example. We could just say a new form has been submitted of a user interested in, and we'll just say stock trading courses. And then we could also have a validation here. So we could grab our responses and grab from this. So in reality, you wouldn't really need 3 different Slack actions for this under each path. Again, it's not the greatest example because honestly, you could just say a new form has been submitted of a user interested in blank, and then it would just pull this. So again, not the greatest example of what I'm doing, but that's perfectly fine. So I'm going to click continue, and we're going to do test the step, make sure there's no issues. Okay, a message was sent to Slack. Let me open up Slack. Okay, a new form has been interested. Yes, stock trading courses. So that lined up. So that's good. That lines up. Let me head back here and let me actually look at the record. Okay, so it does look like the record was stock trading courses. So that makes sense that that worked. Now I'm actually going to copy this action so I don't have to redo all this. And I'm going to paste to replace. And then I'm going to do it one more time, paste to replace. So again, I just clicked the menu here, the ellipses menu, and then I clicked on copy, and then I clicked on the menu on the one I replace and did paste to replace. That way I don't have to retype all this out. Now for this one, it will be interested in, what was the next one? Power Platform courses. So I'll copy that and paste that in there. And then for the last one, we will go to configure, and these are the AI courses. So I'm going to test on this one and nothing should happen. I mean, let me head back to my Slack. Okay, I guess that's fine. So it's testing just that it can send a message. But once this trigger is live and published, the path should correctly head down whatever selection was made. Now it should. We don't know that for sure yet. So if we test this again, it'll be the same thing, where it's just not the exact correct answer. Okay, so let's test this run. We're gonna test the run with the form response we had. So let's walk through this. All right, so we were successful, and it looks like we ran down path A, where the user selected stock trading courses. We head over here, we can see that new message came in. Let me just post a little like line break here or something so we know what the real runs are. And I think that's all right, perfect. So let's go back. It says I have to fix my Zap to publish. Oh, I have to test all these paths. So test, and now I can publish. All right, so now that I have opened this in a new browser, I am going to submit a response saying I'm interested in AI courses, and my email is email.com. All right, so if my Zap is set up correctly, it will run through path C. Wait, I did AI courses, right? Yeah. Okay, so if it's set up correctly, it'll run through path C. So if I head over to my Slack, there should be a new message saying that a new user form is submitted, blah, 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 AI courses, something like that. So once this runs, oh, here we go. Yep, so a new form has been submitted of a user interested in AI courses. So there we go. That worked correctly. Let's go through and, I can only fill this out once. So I guess I'll need a new email account. So let me use a different account now. All right, so using another Gmail account. And let's say I'm interested in Power Platform courses this time. Email is blah, blah, blah at blah.com. I don't even have to make a real email because there's no validation against it to make sure it's real. So let's click on submit. All right, let's head back to our flow and let's just wait. We can also look at our Zap run history, and we can see there's only been one so far. But once it recognizes that a new form has been submitted, we will see a message in our Slack channel. It will say a new form has been submitted of a user interested in Power Platform, and there we go. So that works exactly how we wanted it to work. So what you could do with this is you could expand these paths. So maybe where you have this Slack channel message send, maybe you do, well, you can't really do another path from here. Well, technically you can, but there's really not another condition. So it wouldn't really make sense. Maybe what you could do is you could do something where you email an end user, or maybe wait for a reply from somebody. You could have a delay, and then the delay could wait for a certain action to happen or a certain time. But we don't really need to go that far into using Zaps. We really just want to have a general idea of how these work. But as mentioned, you can make these really complex. You could add multiple paths here, and it could really become a massive, massive flow. So if I just added paths to all of these, not that it makes any logical sense to have this many paths, at least in our use case, but you can see how complex these flows can start to get. Now, of course, there's no logic baked in here, but again, I could have multiple steps here. I could say, I don't know, I guess we'll have something related to YouTube here. We could say, reach out to someone on Gmail. We also have loops as well in Zapier. So if you need to loop through certain actions, you can definitely do so. It does say I'm maxed out on steps. So it looks like with this Zap, I can only have 30 steps. So I guess you really can't make it too complex. Again, of course, a lot of these would be unnecessary. A good flow usually doesn't need to be that complex. At the most, you could link multiple different Zaps to one another. So for example, so-and-so could run, and then instead of doing all this extra work, I could just have different paths that link to different zaps. So if I wanted to do that, I could just say, let's link this to another zap. And then I could go over here to flow controls and click on subzap. And then I could click on action event, call a subzap. And then I would then have to select a zap. So I could use my account, but I don't have any subzaps set up. So of course I could create one, and I can go open my subzap. And from here, we could have all these actions. So if you are building a really complex zap, maybe if you can avoid it, try not to get something that looks so crazy like this, and then just call in another zap. So as mentioned, these can get pretty crazy. I think we'll do one more video on calling a subzap, and then I think that should do it for doing these workflows. So I'll see you in the next video where we'll work with calling a subzap just to do some basic tasks.